Hello everyone, welcome to my YouTube channel or welcome back if you've been here before. My name is Alexis and on this channel I talk about important lessons and takeaways that I get from viral topics and viral conversations. The topic today is not going to be centered around one specific subject. Rather, I want to talk about the variety of different subjects that have been roaming the media and social media streets as of forever now. The topic today is going to be 10 injustices that aren't going anywhere. Let me say this, I am not a pessimist. I do believe that we as a society have to keep fighting the good fight. Those of us who are interested in fighting a good fight or just living in a better, safer society for everybody. However, I really do believe that there are injustices out here that aren't going anywhere. And it might seem like today things are better than they were yesterday or ages before. I don't think things are necessarily better. I think with time, places evolve, mindsets evolve, people change, and time changes things. And the way some of these injustices are being kind of shown or displayed today to the public eye is just very different from how they used to be displayed. It seems like we're making progress, but deep down inside, we're not really making any progress. It's just the times that we live in. It seems like we are evolving, but we are really not. Truth be told, is that the injustices are still here, and we haven't really gotten rid of it. So, with that being said, let me go ahead and talk about the injustices that I am speaking of. Injustice number one, all the isms. That's racism, sexism, classism, elitism, you name it. All of them, all the isms, and including things like xenophobia and homophobia also. All of them. I believe that one of the biggest reasons why the isms are not going anywhere is because the biggest victims of the isms are actually the ones contributing to the system the most. I would say, for example, racism. As a black person myself, I know that people of my community, we are some of the biggest victims of racism, but some of the things that we do actually help contribute putting us in the position that we are in. Obviously, I'm not going to blame racism on just people of color, especially black people specifically. However, this is how I see it. If you remove every other factor other than black people themselves, if you take away everything else that affects us as people, and anything that's part of the system that affect black people and that have impacted black people's life negatively, if you take it all away, we will still have an issue and a problem as a society. Our mindset, for example, our way of thinking, our way of being, the fact that we don't really respect each other too much, the fact that we don't know how to treat each other well, right? If you take away all these other different factors and you leave just black people with ourselves, we might not be able to fix the issues that we have today. However, if you fix black people's mindsets about a lot of things, about the way we see ourselves, about the way we respect ourselves, about the way we love each other, about the way we love each other amongst each other, etc., all these other different factors that affect us as people will probably not matter because we have mastered how to love on ourselves, how to treat ourselves better. I hope I'm making sense. Sometimes the victims of the isms are the ones participating and contributing to the system and making sure that the system upholds laws and different ways in which to oppress them. I know it's crazy, but that's just what it is. I think it's also because when you have been a victim of something for the longest, you are afraid to know what things look like on the other side of the fence. So it's just easy to stay in a state of victimhood where you already know what's going to happen to you than to fight for something better. And this happens generations after generations where one generation has failed themselves and they're not going to help the next generation become better than them. So we live in this cycle where we just keep making the exact same mistakes, right? Another example is classism. We have a society where we have the rich and the poor. And a lot of times, a lot of people who are poor continuously do things that will keep them poor, or they would continuously defend the rich in some cases. I think a lot of people spend too much money on like designer clothes. I think a lot of us spend too much money on our favorite celebrities when we could literally just not do that because we're making them richer than us. We can shop within our local grocery stores, we can open our own businesses, we can shop within ourselves and make ourselves rich. But no, we just rather continuously invest in other businesses because maybe they're a celebrity or we consider them better than us because they already have the money. We as a society have a tendency for speaking up for the rich. We recently saw that even with the whole Kylie Jenner crying about being called old on social media, A lot of people were bashing her, but she still has millions and millions of fans, and a lot of those fans are not rich like her. Part of the reasons why the isms are not going anywhere is because some of the people who contribute to maintaining that system the most are the people who are the biggest victims of it. Injustice number two is women's bodies being a trend. The ideal body type of a woman have always changed over time. So all throughout my lifespan, I was born in the late 90s. So during that time, it was the heroin chic type of look, skinny, platinum blonde, very thin lips, blue eyes. And then things change. You had the more curvy body that came back into the limelight because before people like the Kardashians, we had the Marilyn Monroes. And that was, before I was even born. And then now I think as of today, we're going back to the heroin chic kind of look, but it's not completely that. A lot of people are going back to the skinny BBL type of, body type. In my opinion, it's one of the most unfair things on the planet because women can't catch a break. Like ladies, we just cannot catch a break. Our body types are literally trend. People get to pick what kind of body type they prefer. Like they pick clothes at the mall. It's so unfair because our bodies are just different. We come in different shapes, forms, sizes. We wear our body types differently. If you are taller, you might be able to get away with having a little more pounds on you. If you are shorter, not so much. It's just we're not the same. And I really don't believe that we are ever gonna be at a point where women's bodies are just gonna be accepted at its natural state, primarily because every time a certain body type is trending, there's somebody who's winning. The businesses behind the scenes are winning the most, but the type of body types that is being promoted also benefits the women who already have that kind of body type. As long as somebody is winning, the trends aren't going anywhere because it's going to be a lot of money, a lot of media, a lot of propaganda pushed into making the people accept those trends. And who's making those trends go viral and who's making those trends stick, or the younger generation, it's very easy to influence the youth. So the trends are here to stay. And it's so unfortunate that there's always going to be a young girl somewhere who's willing to alter her body as much as it's needed to fit a certain standard, certain trends. Injustice number three, social classes. I do not believe that we're ever going to get to a point where everybody's just going to be able to make money. We're never going to get to a point in society where we're not going to have billionaires because everybody's paid your fair wage. First of all, some people don't even want to be rich. Okay. And secondly, money doesn't really serve for anything if you don't have the power to match the money, I believe. There's a lot of people who are crazy rich, but if you don't have enough power in society, I don't believe that money serves that much of a purpose. I think people who gain money and keep money for long periods of time are people who equally have the power to match their wealth. I don't necessarily think that being wealthy necessarily comes with all the power in the world. Sometimes you have to fit into certain boxes, you have to fit into certain secret societies. Social classes are not going anywhere. There's always going to be somebody at the very top who's going to be a billionaire or even a trillionaire, and there's always going to be that homeless person who don't know where your next meal is going to come from. Especially with inflation, things are just getting worse. And I think our job as people is just to make sure that we don't end up in bad situations, which in some cases we can't even help. I also know that things like money doesn't necessarily guarantee happiness. You could be rich in other ways. Like riches doesn't always involve monetary gains. Even though money is not the key to happiness, we still live in a world that values money. I don't think we're ever really going to be able to create an equilibrium. As unfair as that sounds, I don't think that's an injustice that's going anywhere. Very unjust, very unfair, but I don't think it's going anywhere. Injustice number four, effed up political systems. Do I need to say more? Politics is effed up. We recently saw the political debate between these two right here, and we're cooked. The people at the very top, the people with all the wealth, even have the right to decide what kind of candidates we even get to see, to decide from. That's how much power they have. When it comes to politics, I don't think anything would ever really get fixed. Politics can affect the people, but I do believe that there are ways in which you can succeed, at least in the United States. There are ways in which you can succeed, even with effed up politics. People do it all the time. However, I don't think world politics are ever gonna do right by us. I don't think we're ever gonna have solid options, people who care about us. I wish we had politicians we can rely on. I wish we had politicians we can lean on, but I don't think that's ever gonna happen. But never say never. Injustice number 5 is the sexualization of everything. We do not have to include sex into everything. One of the reasons why I believe corn has become such a huge market is because everything is sexualized. We make sex so common. I think there's way too many movies out here with unnecessary sex scenes. For example, these are not corn movies. These are regular movies, PG-13, with unnecessary makeout scenes or sex scenes. I think exposing sex as much as we do get people to be desensitized to things that should be less private. Everything is so sexualized sometimes, and I think it's unfair and I think it's unjust. Injustice number 6 is gender wars. Gender wars are not going anywhere. And I see people who sometimes speak against gender wars and pretend as if gender wars haven't been here forever. It has. When I try to look into media and videos from years ago, and I mean like 50, 60, even 70 years ago, gender wars was a thing back then. It's going to be a thing today. And it's going to be a thing in the future. Like, it's not going anywhere. And some people are very misinformed, so there's going to be a lot of people saying things that should not be said. There's going to be a lot of people misunderstanding situations. There's going to be a lot of people saying things that they don't know anything about. There's going to be a lot of people spreading rumors, spreading lies. There's going to be a lot of people making the situation worse, which I think is the most unfair. However, it's not going anywhere. Some of the rhetoric that are spewed around when it comes to gender wars are never solution-based or solution-focused. So it's just something to get people riled up. I think it's very uncool. I think it's very unfair, but I think it's going nowhere because it's been here forever. Injustice number 7 is low wages. I don't think we're ever going to live in a society where people are going to get paid your fair share. I do not think we're ever going to live in a society where the minimum wage is just going to be enough to live. People are bringing up the fact that back in the days, you could work minimum wage job and raise a family. When it comes to low wages and how we sometimes compare generations to one another, I think we also need to consider the fact that a lot of the things that were trendy back then are not as trendy now, and vice versa. We are making different choices and different decisions today compared to the generations before us. I really feel like we need to start factoring that in. I feel like sometimes when we talk about generations versus generations, we never talk about the fact that we do things differently. We spend money on different things. We prioritize different things. With all that being said, low wages are here to stay. As unjust and unfair as it sounds, I don't think we're ever going to get to a point where everybody's just going to be paid their fair price. Injustice number 8, global wars. This entire world was built upon people trying to assert dominance over other people. Is that fair? Heck no. But is it going anywhere? Heck no. It's here to stay. If it's not the US trying to gain power over everybody, it's going to be other countries. And the war is not going anywhere. People are just going to keep fighting and fighting and fighting. And then when one person has the power, everybody else is going to try to take the power away from them. It's just this everlasting, never-ending circle. I am most definitely not a pro-war type of person. So I think we live in hell. We are living in hell right now. I think they're just gonna get worse in some cases, and then after getting worse, they're gonna slow down and get better maybe. Global wars are here to stay, and I really wish all of us the best, and I really hope we're staying safe. Injustice number 9, secret societies. We don't even know about them. How are you gonna dismantle secret societies when most of us don't even know about them? It's what you call hiding in plain sight, secret societies, and a lot of us regular people don't know about it unless you get to some level of power. I'm not gonna go conspiracy theory mode right now with this video, but some things just go really deep. It is ran by some really powerful people, and the vast majority of us as a society don't have that kind of power. We have a lot of power, but we do not even know the power that we have most of the time. Injustice number 10, and this is the final injustice, mental health issues. I think mental health issues are not going anywhere. I think when we compare our mental issues today to the previous generations, we claim that it has gotten worse. I still believe that since mental health was not that important back in the day, how would we even know the severity of some of the mental health cases that was present back in the day? Today, people care a little more. The youth care about mental health a lot, and we talk about our feelings all the time, and we on social media just spewing things. I think there's always going to be a reason for people to be depressed. I think also the human being is eternally unsatisfied. This is a French quote that I am translating. So the French quote says, L'homme c'est un éternel insatisfait. And I'm trying to translate it. So it translates as, human beings are eternally dissatisfied. I think everybody dreams of something that's different from what they have. I think so many people want to go up the social class, so many people want to change the trajectories and things like that. And just that alone is going to make us depressed. I also think as a society, we're so different from one another that just having to live with people who you are so different from can kind of bring sadness, depression, anxiety. Now, there are ways in which you can deal with that anxiety. We could also be very open to the idea of getting to know each other, but that's going to take a level of emotional intelligence that most people don't have, nor do they care to have. Bottom line is, if you think of it, those issues have never really gone anywhere. It has been here, and we have been living with it forever. We have been surviving, but nonetheless, we have been, living with the issues in our air, in our energy, in our spaces forever now. Not saying that we shouldn't fight the good fights, but just keep in mind these injustices are not going anywhere, as unfair as that sounds. And this marks the end of this video. Thank you to anybody who made it to this part of the video. I am so grateful. Please go ahead and hit the like button, subscribe, and comment, and let's get the conversation going. Why not? Again, thank you for being here. I appreciate you all, and I will catch you guys in the next video.